Welcome, art lovers, to Art Gallery Explorer, the vlog that takes you inside gallery spaces and exhibitions across London, the southeast of England, and beyond. Today, I just want to take you inside a mini show here at the Courtauld Gallery of some drawings by Henry Moore. These are particularly drawings that were produced during the Second World War and post-war period. I'm not the biggest fan of Henry Moore's sculpture. I can appreciate some of it, but I'm really interested to see his drawings, especially in this seminal and very difficult period in British history. And this exhibition, which is on until the 22nd of September, is free as part of the Courtauld admission, so once you've paid for that, you can also have a look at this. I will, by the way, be covering the Roger Main photography show here at some stage before it finishes, so do stay tuned for that. The heart of this show centres on drawings made by Henry Moore during the Blitz, that terrible time between 1940 and 1941 when London endured nights and nights of bombing. Around 100,000 Londoners took shelter in the tunnels and stations of the Underground, and Henry Moore was down in the depths with them taking notes. He didn't obviously sketch underground out of respect for people who were suffering, but he went back to his studio and produced these drawings, often claustrophobic and often experimental. And this exhibition argues that by representing people in confined spaces, he developed a new visual language that then influenced his post-war sculpture. By December 1940, he was contributing to the War Artist Advisory Committee, headed by Sir Kenneth Clarke, then director of the National Gallery. In the aim of completing a complete record of Britain during the war, Clarke gathered together artists who were at work in Britain, as well as the Underground. As you can see here, he visited Tilbury Warehouse Shelter, a shelter in the East End, in the late Victorian warehouses of the Tilbury and Southend Railway. And he was fascinated by sleeping figures and how perfect strangers bedded down together. We must remember as well the horrible lack of sanitation. There were 10,000 Londoners in Tilbury Warehouse Shelter and just 2 taps, for example. The exhibition argues that Moore became very interested in portraying human beings in confined spaces, often pressed up against walls. And this claustrophobia was seen later in the war when he was commissioned to make drawings of the coal mines where his own father had served. These drawings are often seen as a relatively minor part of Moore's output, but we must remember that his own studio was bombed, and so he was unable to produce the sculptures through which he's most famous. And as a result, he turned more and more to drawing as the war progressed, as you can see here. The exhibition argues that Moore continued to be interested in the themes of claustrophobia, walls, human beings in confined spaces in the post-war period, as you can see here from this seated woman with her back to a wall, or especially in this very striking picture of 4 figures in a claustrophobic, windowless, seemingly airless setting, which surely harks back to those shelters you've just seen. Again, in a proposed experiment, if you like, for the very prestigious UNESCO building sculpture, which he completed in 1955, we see a woman against a wall, evoking some of those wartime portraits, although interestingly he decided eventually to go for a more abstract figure. And the exhibition makes the point again, really, that some of the most radical post-war work he did, like this wall relief for a building in Rotterdam, stems from the language he developed in the war. And overall, I found this an incredibly powerful exhibition, not least because, in my mind, obviously, I was very aware that there are citizens in Europe and elsewhere sheltering from bombs as we speak on a weekly basis. And so it was a really poignant reminder of the art that came out of this time of suffering in London. I hope you enjoyed the show, and it's on at the Courtauld, as I say, until September the 22nd.